Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Yes.
Um, Pretty much I was gonna say what everyone else was gonna say, but I was also gonna bring up Surah Ikhlas. Like sometimes that's another direction you can go to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bring that up. Show them this is what our litmus test is. Anyone who wants to claim their God or anything else is God, this is our litmus test. You know, we show them Surah Ikhlas, go through this. If anyone is God, this is what we have to go through. So if they can prove their God, this is our test.
Yeah, so basically Surah Ikhlas, that there is a one true God and there is none comparable to him. That's what you're trying to imply.
Exactly.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So these are all great answers, brothers and sisters, in terms of this contention, which is, well, okay, fine, I understand, possibly there must be, it makes sense that in order for there to be a first cause, that first cause has to be uncaused, right? So the uncaused cause, as we say, but then who created this uncaused being, or where did this uncaused being just come from? And the way, well, first of all, from the Islamic tradition, this question is a shaitanic question. And I don't just say this, it's referenced in the hadith. The hadith says, يَأْتِي أَحَدَكُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ The Prophet ﷺ said, يَأْتِي أَحَدَكُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ فَيَقُولُ مَنْ خَلَقَ هَذَا فَيَقُولُ اللَّهُ فَيَقُولُ مَنْ خَلَقَ هَذَا فَيَقُولُ اللَّهُ فَيَقُولُ مَنْ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ. So basically what it says is, Prophet ﷺ said that shaitan will come to one of you and he will say to one of you, who created this? And you will say, Allah. And then he will say to you, who created that? And you will say Allah. And then he will ask you, who created Allah? And the sunnah, the prophetic approach, the tradition, is when you are whispered this, kind of like satanic, thought, is to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. You seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan, because this is shaitan trying to divert you from believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a common whisper. Believe it or not, I think almost every person, every Muslim, non-Muslim has had this thought in their head. It's because naturally we are bound by time. So all we know is time and space. But what we need to realize, brothers and sisters, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not bound by time and space. Think about what time is from a physics point of view. What is time? What is time, right? Think about time itself. So what makes up one day from a physics point of view?
24 hours.
Yes, 24 hours. And what is 24 hours? What is it?
The
Rotation of the earth. One rotation, right? Okay. And what about a year? How many days in a year? 365. And what does that represent? The rotation around the sun, right? A full rotation around the sun. And so here's the question. If you believe in a God, right, who's transcendent, almighty, then isn't God way above this, right? Doesn't he transcend human subjectivity and human-based time, right? He's above this, right? Allah is not on earth. The Creator is above the heavens and the earth. He's above. And therefore, he's not bound by the time that we are limited by. In fact, Allah created time. He created it, right? There was a point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. He created time. He created the universe. And the universe is something for us. Allah gave us time. And time will end. There's a period here, of time that, it's a designated time, allotted time. Here's your start, and here's your end. So Earth is meant to exist, the universe is meant to exist for some time, and it'll go away. And this is the aqeedah of the Muslim too, right? So yes, did you want to say something?
Yeah, since we are on the topic, there are some other questions that they try to pose to you too. Like the questions like, can Allah create a rock that he can't lift? Or can he
yeah, that's called the omnipotence paradox.
Yeah, can he cast a person outside of his jurisdiction? But those are things like Allah won't do. It's not that he can't do it, he won't do it.
Because it doesn't befit his nature.
Yeah, it doesn't befit his nature. So I just wanted to put that out there just in case.
Oh yeah, that's a common question. It's called the omnipotence paradox. Thanks for bringing it up. There's a whole bunch of atheistic contentions, but someone will say, well, if God can do anything and everything, then can he create a stone that's too heavy for him to lift? Right? So this is called the paradox because it's a non-question. It's really a non-issue because it's the way that they're stringing it together, they're making it seem like a problem, but it doesn't befit his majesty. Right? It doesn't befit his majesty to even ask such a question. So it's a paradox, as we call it. There's a whole different discussion. That's for Sheikh Fahad's class.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do, ultimately what we're trying to do is give the overall brief
So for that, like, they would ask that question because they don't understand what God really is, so why don't
Yes.
you go back to His names and attributes?
Absolutely. A good approach. You take him back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names and attributes. You deal with Tawheed Asma wa Sifat.
Mhm.
Definitely. Alright, let's move on, brothers and sisters. So, let's practice. Initiation, common sense agreement, God's existence. 2 volunteers. We've got to go through this part, okay? Initiation, common sense, and dealing with God's existence. Let's try to get new people. Who wants to come up? Or at least one new person.
Ilyas.
One new person. Brother Daniel, you can come up. Who wants to tag team with Brother Daniel? One can be a non-Muslim, one can be a Muslim. Who do you want to be?
Be the non-Muslims.
You want to be the non-Muslim? Okay, who wants to be the Muslim?
All
Okay, Bismillah. Brother Muhammad will come. This is not the time to be shy, brothers and sisters.
Brother Daniel, nice to meet you.
Muhammad, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Muslim. So you're a Muslim?
Yes.
So it's interesting because me, as an atheist, I don't believe in God. Can you explain to me, well, what, I mean, since I don't really necessarily believe in anything, explain to me God. How does God work?
So I believe as a Muslim, the God who, the one who created everything on earth and heaven, and He's the only one. Nobody can be like Him. He has, He's
Hold
no.
on.
He doesn't
I'm
have
sorry to
any-
cut you off, brother. Can you possibly start maybe with like misconception type question so that we can get through the initiation part? You know what I mean? Through the whole process.
Okay, sure. So my name is Daniel. You're a Muslim, and I hear you want to kill our babies.
Actually, I would like to save them, not to kill them. I mean, so why you would say something like that? Why you think that I want to kill your babies?
I heard on the news somewhere that you wanted to kill the babies, and I'm totally against that. And I heard that, and it's what I think is the truth. So I mean.
Actually, I also hear a lot of misconceptions about Islam,
Mhm.
but myself as a Muslim, but why don't we go back and learn the foundations of the Islam and the real basics of Islam and know what is Islam means, and then let's see if this would kill our babies or not.
Okay. Does it say inside of your Quran that you want to kill my babies?
I haven't seen anything in Quran says that we would like to kill our babies. Of course not. Who would a sane person do that, right? But again, okay, let's learn about Quran. What Quran says, and we can discuss this and learn what does Islam actually means, and let's see if it will actually kill our babies or not.
Okay.
Common sense agreement, right?
Okay. But inside of your Quran it says, to kill the disbelievers where you find them, and what if, if I'm a disbeliever, me as an atheist, I don't believe in any sort of God, so that means that you want to kill me, so, wouldn't you want to kill me and kill my children, if I have children?
I actually believe that everybody can have his own religion. He can worship or not worship. I'm here not actually to force you to worship God or not. I'm here to explain to you that there is God and worthy to be worshipped. And I want you to know the truth that I know by myself, and I want to share this with you. That's the main point of being here today. But I don't have any. I've never been ordered to kill non-Muslim people, and it's not even in the Quran. And the only thing that mentioned in the Quran about killing is actually when you have a war, somebody actually comes and wants to kill me, and I have to defend myself. That's the only thing about killing in the Quran. But if you would like to know more about Islam and all of these misconceptions, let's go back and speak about the foundation of the Quran and the foundation of Islam and what the word of Islam means, and the sincerity and all of that, and submission to God. And we can learn about if I really want to kill you or not.
I want to just pause here. Stay here for a second.
Mhm.
I'm seeing that mashallah, you're presenting it well, and you're actually asking the questions really well. But I feel like there's a little bit of a struggle getting into God's existence, right? Like he's doing good, mashallah. He's trying to take it back to the foundations. But what do you think would be a good way to jump into God's existence at this point? Okay, yes, brother.
Maybe ask, well, he's already said he's an atheist, but
Yeah.
basically, in order to get to this conversation, at this point in the conversation, maybe agree on the ground rules.
Okay,
agree on-
maybe agree on the ground rules and maybe prompt him again. So what is your worldview? I mean, yeah, you mentioned that you're an atheist, but why do you deny the existence of a creator? Something like that. And that'll kind of get you into God's existence. Because there has to be like some kind of bridge to get you, now that you've initiated, alhamdulillah, try to build a common sense agreement. Like, hey, do you agree to have this dialogue based on common sense? It's already too late because we're kind of in it, but next time, inshallah. And just try to jump into God's existence that way.
Okay.
Okay, listen.
So what your conception about creation, how everything has been created?
I believe that creation came from itself. Like I think everything was here, and then creation itself is imperfect, so thus everything just kind of made itself. Like eventually, with enough time and with enough but just by itself, eventually for a creation to perceive itself, it eventually, will make itself until we eventually become human beings.
So, for example, do you have a phone with you?
Okay, so somewhere in here.
So
Yes.
let's say that you found this phone in the desert or so.
Okay.
Would you think that with all the complexities and the programming languages that's into this phone to do a certain task, just been created by themselves?
Well, think of it this way. I mean, eventually the phone is going to be created by someone or something, so thus it's here.
Okay, so we agree that the phone has been created by something or
Correct,
someone,
yes.
right?
Someone eventually down the line.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the universe.
Okay.
What do you think is more complex than the other, the phone or the universe?
Oh, the universe, definitely.
So why you would think that the phone got created by someone or something, and the universe just got created by itself?
Actually, that's a really good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Uh,
mashallah. That's how you want to present it.
Well, you used a very good common sense argument for
Do you
that.
mind repeating that?
Yeah.
Uh,
They're saying, well, I mean, if you're going to say that, hey, the phone has complexities in design, right, and that he agrees that that came from, it came from something, it didn't come from nothing, so why would he agree that, why would he believe, given that implication, that understanding that the universe just came from nothing?
If the phone is so
He's
complex,
using the phone as an
then-
analogy.
then the universe in of itself is even more complex than the phone. So
It's per the example that we gave earlier on the teleological, the phone and universe example. Alhamdulillah, keep going, brother, you're doing great.
So, well, I don't want to kind of lead. I'm kind of trying to lead you elsewhere, or to have the atheist argument. You backed me into a corner, by the way. Alhamdulillah. Can I get a phone by a friend?
Well, I mean, at this point, he asked you a question, so just keep going with it. Say, all right, well, maybe that makes sense. I mean, does it make sense? If it makes sense, then say that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, just say that. You don't have to. If it makes sense, then it makes sense.
So
I heard that
now,
once
so now
before,
we
but
would
I heard
believe
somebody
that,
argue that one is made, the other one is just naturally existing.
Yeah. One
So
is
one is naturally existing, the other is a product of a man.
absolutely, but ultimately, we can agree that they both have design
Yes.
in the first cause is what
But
we want.
always existed.
Yeah.
So if we just
Okay.
we just agreed on that the universe has been created by someone. So I would say, as a Muslim, this one is actually the only one, and we call him Allah. So would you agree on that?
Well, I guess you're right. I guess it would make sense that something would create something. I guess everything, even a phone, through thousands of years or millions of years beyond our perception, would eventually come to being made from somebody. But then, what would make?
So would you be interested to know more about the basics and foundations of Islam?
Inshallah.
Right.
Okay, Jazakumullah khair. That's good for now. Jazakumullah khair. Alhamdulillah. So you see how we're getting more methodological now, as opposed to just like the useless arguments and the endless cycles of questions. Alhamdulillah, this is what we want to get to, brothers and sisters. So, I think, do we feel comfortable with God's existence so far? Because we do have to move on,
Sure.
inshallah. If we have more questions at the end, perhaps we can have a Q&A to talk about, more issues. Okay, so God's oneness is next. So now that they've agreed, all right, fine, it makes sense to me that most probable, yes, logically, it fits that there has to be a creator. It's logical, it's consistent. I agree with that. There's a creator, fine. I don't reject it. Then you talk about God's oneness. Alright, so you state your belief, so you say, as a Muslim, I believe there's one God. And if you want, you can quote from the Quran if you wish. You can say, in Surah Al-Ikhlas, it says, say He is Allah, or say He is God the One, right? And then you can go all the way to the end of the verse, saying that there's none comparable to Him. Then you state your reason, give reasons for His oneness, and then the agreement. See the acknowledgement that they've understood you. So do you understand what I've said? And some of the reasons that you talk about God's oneness isn't as difficult to deal with as God's existence. Like once you get past God's existence, the oneness part isn't as hard. Alhamdulillah. Allah makes it easy because logically it makes sense and it's a Quranic argument. So Allah says in chapter 17 verse 42,